Serbia is a country that feels like a secret Europe forgot to reveal. In the heart of the Balkans, ancient fortresses rise above powerful rivers. Medieval monasteries hide among green mountains, and lively streets continue long after the sun disappears. But Serbia is more than beautiful landscapes and historic cities. It is a place shaped by empires, wars, traditions, and generations of people who have learned to rebuild, celebrate, and move forward. From the dramatic meeting of the Danube and Sava in Belgrade to quiet villages, where old customs still survive, Serbia reveals a side of Europe that feels both familiar and completely unexpected. And the deeper you travel, the more you realize that the real story of Serbia isn't found in its famous landmarks. It's found in the people, the food, the hidden roads, and the stories waiting beyond the tourist map. Belgrade is where Serbia begins to reveal its true character. Sitting at the meeting point of the Danube and Sava rivers, the capital has spent centuries standing at the crossroads of civilizations, empires, and cultures. Today, the city feels remarkably alive, with modern buildings, crowded cafes, historic streets, and riverside neighborhoods creating a rhythm that changes from morning to night. High above the rivers, Belgrade Fortress tells a very different story. Its ancient walls have witnessed battles, invasions, and the rise and fall of powerful empires. Yet today, people walk through the same grounds, simply to watch the sunset over the water. From the fortress, the city stretches outward in every direction, revealing a fascinating contrast between old and new Serbia. Wander into the historic streets of Stari Grad, and the atmosphere becomes more intimate, with traditional architecture, small restaurants, bakeries, and cafes filling the narrow streets with everyday life. Then, as evening arrives, Belgrade transforms again. The riverside comes alive with music, lights, restaurants, and people gathering along the water. This combination of history and modern energy is what makes Belgrade so different from many European capitals. It doesn't hide its past behind polished streets. Instead, the past exists alongside the present. A centuries-old fortress can stand only minutes away from a modern shopping district, while traditional Serbian food is served beside contemporary restaurants and cafes. And perhaps the most interesting part is that Belgrade doesn't feel like a city built only for visitors. Its streets belong to the people who live here. Students move through the center. Families gather in parks, friends meet over coffee, and locals fill the markets and neighborhood bakeries. To understand Serbia, you have to experience this everyday rhythm, because behind the famous landmarks and dramatic history is a city that is constantly moving forward. Belgrade may have been shaped by conflict, but its modern identity is defined by resilience, creativity, and an unmistakable energy that continues long after the sun disappears over the Danube. Beyond Belgrade, Serbia changes completely. The busy streets and modern energy of the capital gradually give way to vast green landscapes, quiet villages, winding rivers, and mountains that seem to disappear into the horizon. This is the Serbia that many visitors never see. Travel beyond the cities and you begin to discover a slower rhythm of life, where small farms sit beside forested hills, old houses stand along peaceful roads, and local communities still maintain traditions passed down through generations. One of the country's greatest natural treasures is the Danube, flowing through Serbia like a vast ribbon of history and connecting landscapes that have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Further into the countryside, mountains such as Tara and Zlatibor offer a completely different experience, with dense forests, open meadows, dramatic viewpoints, and fresh mountain air. In these regions, nature is not simply something to photograph. It is part of everyday life. People hike through the forests, families spend time in traditional countryside homes, and local producers continue making food, using methods that have changed little over time. Serbia's rural landscapes also reveal an important contrast with its rapidly developing cities. While Belgrade is becoming increasingly modern and international, many villages remain deeply connected to agriculture, family, and community. You can drive for hours through peaceful scenery and suddenly arrive at a centuries-old monastery hidden among the hills, its walls carrying stories from medieval Serbia. These places offer a glimpse into a country where history is not confined to museums. It can be found beside a mountain road, inside a village church, or in the traditions of a family preparing food in the same way their grandparents once did. And perhaps that is what makes traveling through Serbia so rewarding. The farther you move away from the obvious tourist routes, the more personal the journey becomes. Instead of simply seeing Serbia, you begin to experience its landscapes, its silence, and its slower way of life. Here, the country feels less like a destination and more like a story unfolding one road at a time. To truly understand Serbia, you have to experience it through its food, because here, meals are about much more than simply eating. They are about family, friendship, tradition, and the simple pleasure of sitting together around a table. Across Serbia, food changes from one region to another, but the philosophy remains remarkably consistent. Fresh ingredients, generous portions, and recipes passed from one generation to the next. In local bakeries and markets, the day often begins with the smell of freshly baked bread and pastries, while neighborhood cafes slowly fill with people enjoying coffee and conversation. Traditional dishes such as cevapi, grilled meats, sarma, and hearty stews reflect the many cultural influences that have shaped the country over centuries. One of the most recognizable foods is pljeskavica, a seasoned grilled meat patty often served with bread and fresh vegetables. While burek has become a familiar favorite for breakfast or a quick meal, but Serbian cuisine is not only about famous dishes. Some of the most memorable experiences can happen in a small family restaurant, at a countryside table, or inside a local market where farmers sell fruit, vegetables, cheese, honey, and homemade products. These markets offer a glimpse into everyday Serbia, where conversations happen naturally and food still connects people to the land. Outside the cities, hospitality becomes an especially important part of daily life. Guests are often welcomed generously, and sharing food is a way of showing respect and friendship. This warmth is also visible in the rhythm of Serbian cafes, where people can spend long periods talking, rather than simply rushing through a meal. In a world that increasingly moves at high speed, this slower social rhythm feels almost timeless. Yet Serbia is not frozen in tradition. Younger generations are bringing new ideas into the food scene, opening modern cafes, restaurants, bakeries, and creative spaces while still drawing inspiration from traditional flavors. This creates an interesting balance between old and new, where a centuries-old recipe can exist alongside modern cuisine and contemporary city culture. From a busy Belgrade market to a quiet village kitchen, Serbian food tells a larger story about the country itself. It is a story of history, family, agriculture, migration, and resilience. And once you sit down at a Serbian table, you begin to understand that the best way to discover this country may not be through its monuments at all, but through the people who invite you to stay a little longer, share a meal, and experience Serbia, as Serbia's history is written across its landscapes, from medieval monasteries and ancient fortresses to cities shaped by centuries of different empires. For much of its past, Serbia stood at a crossroads between East and West, making its land both culturally rich and historically turbulent. Medieval Serbian rulers built powerful kingdoms and beautiful Orthodox monasteries, many of which still survive today. Later, the region experienced centuries of Ottoman influence, followed by strong connections with Central Europe and the Austro-Hungarian world. In the 20th century, Serbia became part of Yugoslavia, a country whose history continues to influence the region today. Walking through Serbia, you can see these layers of history almost everywhere. A fortress may stand beside a modern city, while an ancient monastery can be hidden among peaceful mountains. Yet Serbia is not simply defined by its difficult past. Its people have repeatedly adapted, rebuilt, and preserved their culture through changing times. Today, modern Serbia carries these memories while creating a new identity of its own. That combination of history, resilience, and modern life is what makes the country so fascinating to explore. Serbia's most memorable experiences are often found far from the places shown on typical tourist maps. Beyond Belgrade, quiet mountain roads lead to hidden villages, peaceful forests, dramatic rivers, and viewpoints where the landscape stretches for miles. Places like Tara National Park reveal a Serbia of dense forests and untouched nature, while the winding Danube creates spectacular scenery along the country's northern landscapes. Small towns and rural communities offer another side of Serbian life, where traditions remain closely connected to family, farming, and the land. Even the country's monasteries can feel like hidden discoveries, standing quietly among hills and valleys, with centuries of history surrounding them. What makes these places special is not just their beauty, but the feeling of discovering something that has remained largely outside the spotlight. Serbia may not always be the first destination travelers think of when they imagine Europe, but that is exactly what makes the journey so rewarding. The farther you go, the more unexpected the country becomes. And sometimes the places you almost miss become the ones you remember the longest. Serbia is not a country that reveals everything at first glance. Its real beauty appears slowly, in the quiet roads beyond the cities, the forests and rivers, the historic streets, the food shared around a table, and the people who carry generations of tradition into modern life. From the energy of Belgrade to peaceful mountain landscapes, Serbia offers a fascinating contrast between its complicated past and its constantly changing present. It may not have the same global spotlight as some European destinations, but that is part of its charm. Here, the journey feels personal, unexpected, and full of discoveries. Serbia is a country where history lives beside modern life, where traditions continue while new generations create their own future. And perhaps that is what makes Serbia worth exploring. Not because it tries to impress you, but because the deeper you travel, the more stories you find. Serbia is one of those places that can completely change the way you see Europe. From a capital built where two powerful rivers meet, to mountains hiding ancient monasteries and villages, where traditions still shape everyday life, this country is full of contrasts. Here, centuries-old history exists beside modern cities. Peaceful countryside sits only hours from lively streets, and some of the most unforgettable experiences can be found far beyond the usual tourist routes. But Serbia has another side that few people talk about, a side filled with hidden landscapes, unique traditions, incredible food, and stories shaped by a complicated past. So what really makes Serbia different? And why are more travelers beginning to look beyond the famous European destinations and discover this fascinating country?